Hi, I'm Ray Young. I'm an emeritus professor from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and today I'm going to be talking about the chemistry of natural odorants. Now, last time we went through the chemistry of odorants, the general chemistry, and today I'm going to get into some more specific information on the odorants involved in essential oils. So we're going to look at the various classes of essential oils from different plant parts. The essential oils are from plant blossoms, leaves, roots and seeds, woody material, plant exudates as resins. There's also animal sources and synthetics, which I won't talk about today. What I want to do is give you an idea of what the aromas are from specific blossoms, leaves, and so on, and then look at the aroma and the chemical compounds in that aroma. So to give you an idea of the range of chemicals that are producing these scents from the various plant materials, the essential oils. And this will set up our next series of lectures on the theories of smell, both structural and vibrational theories. Okay, let's start with rose. Rose, I've shown here an 18th century painting demonstrating all the rose petals that are necessary for extraction of the essential oil, the steam distillation. It takes about 4,000 pounds of petals for just 1 liter of essence, and of course that adds to the expensive cost of true rose essential oils. Now the aroma of rose is lemony, fresh, floral, clean, dark berry, and even some say boozy liquor-like. The essential oils are obtained from two major species, the Rose de Mai, the Rosa centifolia, and the Damask rose, the Rosa damascena. And the Rosa damascena, that name is utilized to associate it with a number of the chemicals in the rose essential oil. These are the rose ketones shown in the bottom right, the damascenones. Firmenich has synthesized a whole range of these rose ketones, but they have a very strong aroma at very high dilutions, and they're part of the rose scent. However, we'll see that the rose essential oil contains a large quantity of citronellol, 35% as a terpene, and geranol, 21%, which has slightly different configuration. And then there's the rose oxides, which are present, and these can be detected down to 5 parts per billion. Normally we detect aromas in the parts per million, but rose oxide as well as the rose ketones have a very strong aroma. And these are the range of constituents, chemical constituents that are in the rose oil. Now we'll compare this to jasmine. The jasmine plant is cultivated in France, Spain, Egypt, and India. It's a delicate flower, and because of this, it's usually obtained by solvent extraction versus the steam distillation, which is the common method for obtaining true essential oils. And the jasmine is very highly esteemed as a perfume oil. The scent is narcotic, sweet floral. It's got fruity aspects of banana, apricot, and peach, and it has a sultry, even an animalic type smell to it. And what contributes to this aroma are this variety of chemicals, and these are just a few. These essential oils usually contain hundreds of different chemicals. The geranol in the bottom right, I haven't written the structure. That's the same structure as we saw in the rose essential oil. But on the top right, you see benzyl acetate is a major component, 65%. It has a fruity floral odor. You can see there's an aromatic ring, as we talked about in the last lecture, as well as an acetate group attached to it, an ester group. Cis-jasmone is only 3%, but again a strong constituent in the aroma of jasmine and specific to the jasmine. And here you have a 5-membered ring with a ketone group. And another very unusual chemical is indole. Indole has at high concentration has a very strong fecal odor. not a pleasant aroma at all, but at low concentration it has a nice floral odor. And you can see the structure of this compound is a fused 6 and 5-member ring, and the 5-member ring containing nitrogen, so a unique structure in terms of what we've been discussing about as terpenes and aromatic structures. The smell I mentioned is floral fruity, and the animalistic smell may derive from this indole compound in the Jasmine Essential Oil. Another essential oil comes from lavender. It's grown mostly in France, in the Provence region, and in England. Of course, lavender's been around for thousands of years and used in bath water, and we associate it with cleanliness. It's also used as a relaxant or a sedative for sleeping and aromatherapy. And it has an aromatic, clean, medicinal smell, a eucalyptus-like, and some say a licorice-like endpoint. Here's the constituents in lavender. Again, they're quite unique compared to what we've seen for rose and jasmine. I've shown 2 structures for a linalool backbone. The linalool is the alcohol, the OH, which is not shown, but has a spicy floral scent, and the linalool acetate, which is shown, has a floral citric scent, and this is, again, a terpene-type compound. Asamine, shown here, is a different type of structure with a lot of branching, and on the right you'll see camphor, which is a resonancy type odor. It's a 6-membered ring with a 3-membered ring attached. Again, a unique structure, and these are just some of the components in lavender to give it that eucalyptus clean medicinal smell. Tuberose is another plant, flower blossom I want to mention. It's related to agave with this flowering spike that comes up in the middle, and the flowers are collected and steam distilled. Tuberose is very common. It's the major component in the very popular perfume Fracas. It has a rich, creamy, surprisingly carnal aroma. And here's some of the constituents. Again, a different array I've shown here. The benzyl benzoate shown at the top, and the methyl would just be substituting an aromatic ring with the methyl group to give the methyl benzoate. And these aromas, the benzyl benzoate is a floral, spicy, aromatic aroma, whereas the methyl benzoate is a little more fruity, but still aromatic. On the left is methyl anthralenate, and you can see here again a nitrogen compound attached. It's an ester group also. It has a grape-like smell, and it's musky. And here's a unique one in this essential oil is butyric acid, and I discussed this earlier in my first lecture about the unpleasant aroma of short chain acids such as this one, the acid being the carboxyl group at the end, C double bond O, OH, and it has a very unpleasant vomit smell. But in small quantities, it's adding probably to some of this carnal aroma that occurs in the tuberose. But again, you can see the wide range of chemicals in these different types of blossoms. And let's just go through a few of these. We've already talked about roses. Carnations have a very faint smell, and basically the different species of carnations have a slight variations, and this is related to the relative proportions of eugenol shown at the top for carnation and the methyl salicylate shown at the bottom in the row for carnation of the row of chemicals. So this variation in species is related to this relationship of eugenol to methyl salicylate. The violets have a unique structure in these ionones, 2 of which are shown, alpha and beta, on the top 2 chemicals. And it's actually, the aroma of violet will, as you smell it, will come into your nose and then disappear, then come back. And it's related to how the ionones attach to the receptors in our nose, which we'll talk about later, but this is very unique for violets. Lilies, there's a lot of different species of lilies. And again, the differences in these lilies is related to the relationship of the concentration of linalool and beta-asamine shown at the first 2 chemicals. Hyacinths, another very pleasant aroma. The ocimol, the first chemical in this group, is a fresh citrusy smell from the ocimol. The cinnamyl alcohol is more balsamic. And the last one on the list is a methyl benzoate, which I mentioned has a fruity aromatic type aroma, and all combining to give that unique smell to hyacinths. Then we have chrysanthemums, which has alpha pinene. Pinene we associate with pine trees, or that turpentine smell. Eucalyptus, we know that's sort of a balsamic type smell. And then there's a specific one to this, the chrysanthemone, which gives it a unique aroma. And it's very variable aromas from different chrysanthemums, as you may have noticed if you have detected their aromas. And finally, we have lilac. And the major component of lilac is this ocimene at the top. But you'll see there's two specific ones to aldehyde, the lilac aldehyde, to the lilac aldehyde, and the lilac aldehol, shown in the last two structures. Again, this is to give you an idea of the array of different chemicals that occur in these blossom scents. Let's look at some other types of scents, and let me look at the orange tree. I don't want to go through all of these, but I mentioned earlier in my perfume lectures that we can get essential oils from the blossoms as neroli oil, the leaves and twigs as the petitgrain oil, and from the fruit peel as orange oil. And of course, the neroli is for perfumes. It's more floral. The leaves and twigs, the petitgrain oil, is typical for cosmetics and soaps, and the orange oil is used in both. The orange oil in this case is sweet and juicy, sort of between mandarin and pomelo. But let's look at citrus odors, aromas in general. They are composed of two major components in the oils, the citral and the limonene. And I've shown citral. It has two isomers, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get to the theories of scent. But the two isomers are geraniol and nerol, and you can see they're very similar, just they're basically mirror images at the orientation of the compound in space. And you can see the geraniol on the left has a very strong lemony odor, whereas the nerol also has a more fainter lemony odor, but it's much sweeter. The limonene on the left also has two isomers, and I mentioned in an earlier lecture when I was talking about citrus aroma that one of them has a piney turpentine-like aroma, whereas the one in the citrus oils, the isomer is usually the one with the orange lemon type aroma. So these two chemicals are very important components of citrus oils, and introducing the idea of isomers, stereoisomers. Okay, again, showing the range of compounds in these different essential oils. Patchouli, this very characteristic aroma, rich, earthy, woody, and moist. It's steam distilled from fermented leaves from the small shrub grown in the Seychelles in Indonesia. And you can see one of the primary constituents is this patchouli alcohol. Again, a unique structure. Who would ever dream of synthesizing such as this? It has two fused rings with a third ring, three-member ring attached between the two other rings. It's got methyl groups and hydroxyl groups attached to it. Again, a unique structure in the patchouli. Vetiver, another very important component of perfumes. This is the actual essential oil is obtained from the roots of this grassy type structure. Has a musty, earthy, woody type smell with facets of bitter chocolate and smoke. And we have beta vetivone and cousimol as components. Again, elaborate structures. The beta vetivone shown on the left with methyl groups, and then the cousimol, which contains methyl groups attached, and several ring structures, a 5-member, a 6-membered, and a 4-membered ring attached to it. Again, the imagination of chemists could not even come up with this type of structure. But again, there's many other components or chemicals in the vetiver essential oil aroma. And then sandalwood. Sandalwood is a very important base note in perfumes. It's been used as an incense for thousands of years. It's now grown mainly in Australia and Indonesia. It has a woody, milky, soft, rich note with a green top note, a very long, lingering scent, a very excellent component of many perfumes as the base note. And the problem is we have to destroy the tree to grind up the wood for steam distillation, and that makes the sandalwood very expensive. So synthetic chemists have been working for many years working on these santalolols, which are the one of the major components of the scent of the sandalwood essential oil. As you can see, again, a complicated structure with a long chain attachment to a 6-membered as well as two 3-membered rings in the structure. And the synthetic chemists have created a number of analogs of these santalols. We'll discuss this again further when we talk about the theories of scent specifically. Okay, finally, I'd like to mention frankincense. Again, this is a resinous type essential oil. The resin is obtained from wounding the tree and then ground up and steam distilled. 4-terpineol is in the essential oil shown here. There's over 200 chemicals of different mono and diterpenoids. And this very large structure shown on the right is boswellic